Hey Gengar gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. In today's video, friends, after the long-awaited, I guess hiatus you can say that we took, we are doing PSA Graded Returns for the first time in a long time. I am super excited, but before I get started, let me go ahead and drop this in here. I will go ahead and get it focused up and say that I am currently trying to decide whether or not to box break this Call of Legends booster box. So I decided for the first time in I think the channel's history, I'm actually going to do, or at least attempt to do, some advertising in a YouTube video. So here is a Call of Legends booster box. This is the set where you can pull shiny Lugia, shiny Rayquaza, as well as tons of other amazing vintage Pokemon cards. We've done a little bit of a story behind this box already, so there's definitely tons of history behind it. And it is very, very highly sought after. What I am looking to determine now, if there are people out there on the internet who are interested in purchasing packs if I were to break this. Obviously, a box break like this one would kind of happen on YouTube. What I would do is I would go ahead and in one continuous video, open this pack up, get individual bags for the different people who ordered packs, and then I would go ahead and safety seal each and every single one of those baggies to make sure that they are tamper-proof for the future. So if you're interested in perhaps taking part in this box break, I am looking to fill each of the packs at 350 bucks. So if this is something that you're interested in, feel free to get in touch. You can do so either on Instagram. My link to the Instagram is down below, or you can drop me an email, and again, the email is down below. So feel free to let me know. Obviously, nothing is set in stone right now, so I am just thinking about doing this, but someone did leave a video quite a while back that said, hey Ryan, I think this would be a cool way of doing something, and seeing as how I'm looking to consider either selling this or breaking it, I thought it would be a cool way of bringing the community together by doing a box break here on YouTube. So if this is something you're interested in, feel free to let me know. As always, this stuff will be untampered with, unweighed, and it'll be broken on YouTube for your viewing pleasure as well. So with that said, I'm gonna finish my advertisement now, and now as I toss this to the side, let's talk about PSA Graded Returns. Now, a little bit of context about these particular PSA Graded Returns. This stack comes from the same huge PSA Graded Return that I had. So on screen right now, you should see a little graphic, hopefully explaining and making what I'm about to say a little bit more understandable. Long story short, I submitted 363 cards in April of 2020. You, as a community, have already seen 302 of those cards. Those are the cards that I would consider to be part of one logical lot. Basically, I bought all those cards in a vintage lot, and all those cards got graded, and at this point, all of those cards are here, there, or somewhere else, or in someone else's collection. So that's the good news. In addition to the 302 cards, I also submitted 61 of my own personal cards. Now, these cards could have been purchased online, they could have been obtained for free because of eBay bucks, or they were something that I pulled here on the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to show you another 20 of those cards, and we are going to take a look and see what some of those cards are. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. The good news is that I have completely forgotten most of the grades on this stuff, and that's mainly because I've had it for so long that, you know, I wouldn't even know. So up first is a Metagross out of Celestial Storm. So in the time that this card has gone and gotten graded, Celestial Storm is now considered at least far enough away and out of print that it is kind of in demand. Now, Sun and Moon Hollows aren't really much of anything. It's not like a WotC Hollow, right? So I really just graded this card because I really like Metagross, and I think it's a cool Pokemon. So that's really the main reason why I graded the card. Nothing really spicy or amazing about it. Another reason that I really like this card is because Steven Stone is actually right there. So if you look behind the Pokemon, there is the trainer, and obviously this is very Generation 3 of them to print on a card. So I really thought this card was cool. This card ended up getting a PSA 9 So it just goes to show this was pack fresh, this was something that was pulled on the channel, but obviously not everything is always great with these cards. And in this particular case, it's pretty apparent why. So you do have a white spot there and a pretty nasty scuff down here that I think really kind of detracted from the overall grade. But not bad, all things considered, for the first card up. You know, I'm happy I got it graded because honestly, to buy one of these things now, it's at least $100 versus the pull, which was absolutely free. Next up, we have a Shining Legends Jirachi, and this also got a PSA 9, as you can see on screen. So the Shining Legends Jirachi, if you remember, I believe I pulled it out of an ETB way back. Now, ironic to say that at a certain point I was just freely out here ripping ETBs. I remember because I specifically went into Target one night and saw 2 Shining Legends ETBs just kind of chilling on the bottom shelf. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll pick them up, whatever. And of course, we just opened them casually on the channel. And nowadays, if you go looking for a Shining Legends ETB, they are, I believe, $400 ETBs. So it's actually pretty funny how insanely expensive they have become. It's just crazy to think that at one point they were on store shelves, because if you told me that now, I'd be like, no way, dude, like people would have bought them up. But again, that just goes to show how, you know, things can really just gain value overnight. All in all, a really pretty card. I don't really know why it got a 9. You know, I did the back inspection and I can't really call out one particular area that has an issue, but I'm sure there is one reason or the other that is done under a little bit more light will get you the correct sort of view. So here's a really interesting one. This is a Dark Ampharos out of EX Team Rocket Returns. This is the reverse holographic, and as you can see, that right there is probably one of the many reasons why this set is so beloved. A couple of things is that this is the reverse rare, so you can see the EX Team Rocket Return stamp, you can see the Dark Ampharos, and the HP are in gold lettering, which is pretty dope, and you can see that it has the very distinctive reverse holographic pattern on it. Obviously a lot better than the reverse patterning that we have nowadays. In a weird way, this card almost looks fake. The one thing I will note is that the surface is kind of immediately dinged right there, so you know, PSA 7, PSA 9, PSA 8. Okay, not bad. Definitely not a bad grade on this card. This was one of those cards I just kind of picked up. So, you know, it came from eBay. I obviously wasn't expecting it to be in the best of condition, but this is actually pretty good. I'm happy because, you know, all in all, it's a really pretty card. There is a bit of whitening around the corner on the bottom here. And the same for this bottom corner, so all things considered, I can definitely see why it got the grade it did. You know, nothing really that I can argue about here, but I just think the card looks so nice in a slab that, you know, you won't hear me complain about getting this card graded because it looks really good. Next up is a card that I'm super excited about. Here is a Triumphant Heart Gold Soul Silver bottom half of the Darkrai and Cresselia Legend card. So for those folks who don't know, during the Heart Gold Soul Silver era, they had Prime cards as well as these Legend cards, and the Legend cards are, you know, pull rates about, I think, 2 per booster box, so it's not terrible, but Primes were definitely a little bit easier to pull. The problem with this card, and obviously you're seeing my ring light here, but you can see how much holographic. The entire surface of this card is actually holographic. So it's insane to think, because these cards are going to be incredibly difficult to pull in the future. And then on top of that, you also have to bear in mind that in addition to just being difficult to pull and how expensive they are to pull, they're also going to be a pain in the neck to grade. Some of the things that I really think stand out about this particular set, and anything from the Heart Gold Soul Silver era, you'll notice that they have like this antique border. So it's not the typical yellow, but instead it's a very antique sort of like pirate map color, and I think that's really dope. This card ended up getting a PSA 9. Very cool. So going on the back, I mean, looks like there was that one white chip down here at the bottom, but aside from that, there was nothing that really caused this card to sort of lose points in the grading spectrum. So, I mean, there could be something that I'm not seeing, but genuinely, I do believe the surface of this card is pristine. So this card may have been kept from getting a 10 purely because of this little white spot down here. But other than that, a beautiful card. And something that I'm really happy to add to my collection. I'm hoping I can also get the top half of the card sometime in the future and get that graded as well. Here we have literally another one of those, and actually, yeah, they are actually sequential certs. So you'll see that the one in my right hand is ending in 8-6, and the one in my left hand is ending in 8-7. So just a little something quirky and fun there, but I definitely think it's pretty neat because obviously it does have a really good look to it. The Darkrai half, the way that these cards work, by the way, is this is the bottom half of the card, and technically there is a top half that has Darkrai in it. So pretty dope, and I'm going to try to get some of the holo there. Yeah, you can see some of the holographic down below, but the entire surface of the card is in fact holographic. You can also see some of the foiling right there. So this is a beautiful card. This particular one, the back is in far better condition, so I'm tempted to believe there was some sort of major defect on the front of the card that caused this card to sort of get into the 9 category. As everyone knows, PSA is very quick to say, oh, eye appeal is what really drives this. And so sometimes it can be a little difficult to really kind of justify the stuff. Next up, we have, okay, so this is cool. This is a Call of Legends Entei. So Call of Legends is quite literally the box I showed you at the beginning. These are some of the secret rares, or I guess ultra rares, that you can pull out of that set. So here we have the Entei, beautiful card. As you can see, tons of holographic, which in and of itself presents a really unique problem when it comes to grading, because as you can see, this got an 8. If we turn it around, you'll notice a couple different things. So one, there is a pretty gnarly chip down here. There's a pretty nice little ding right there. So this card definitely suffered a lot for the back of the card. And the front of the card, at least based on my very quick cursory overview, really not bad. And you can see a lot of the holographic right there and why these cards are so sought after. Obviously this is the Entei, but there are other cards as well. I believe the set has the 3 Hoenn Pokemon, so the Weather Trio. You also have Ho-Oh and Lugia. You also have the 3 dogs, and Deoxys, I believe, is in the set as well. I think there are a total of 11 shiny cards. So with any luck, we might see a few of those on the channel if we end up breaking that box. But nonetheless, beautiful cards, and definitely something that I'm really happy I was able to add to the collection. Next up is a beautiful Metagross EX. It's from EX Hidden Legends and a graded PSA 7. One thing of note about this card, you do have a big old swirl right down here. Reasons I got this card are the same reason I graded the Celestial Storm Metagross. I just think Metagross is a cool Pokemon. It's one of the Pokemon that I had in my quote-unquote dream team. And if you look at this card, I think, sincerely, I do believe that the holo on this card is sick. So definitely something that I'm really happy about. I think it's a good looking card, and yeah, just happy that, you know, I'm able to add it to my collection. As many of you know, I am a big EX collector, so having ultra rares graded in my collection is a big plus for me anyway. They don't necessarily have to be PSA 10s, although it is fun when I get to say that, but as you all know, not every card can get a PSA 10, so obviously I'm just happy to have one in my collection anyway. Especially with the way prices have gone recently, it's kind of hard to keep up. Next up, we have a Shiftry EX, and this is at the, you know, at this point in the submission, I think what I'm going to go ahead and say is, by the time we get to these cards, I was really just buying cards I thought were cool. So at certain times, I would basically just go online, start looking up, you know, Pokemon EX and filtering for auctions, and then seeing what it is I got. So in this case, you know, I won a Shiftry EX. Yeah, it got a PSA 6, but again, I don't care. I'm just happy to be here and happy to have gotten a chance to taken one of these into my collection. You can look down here where my left thumb is, you'll see that there's a pretty major scuff, and I believe that's what really dinged this card. There isn't a crease, which is typically indicative of a PSA 5, and I don't see a crease on this card at all. But I will also note that the holographic pattern, even though you really can't see it on camera, is really, really rough. So you know, all things considered, beautiful card, but that holo just got really scratched up. I imagine that's one of those cards that sat in someone's pocket for some period of time, and that's what kind of happened. Similar story might have actually happened to this card. So this is a Latias EX out of EX Dragon. You can tell it's out of EX Dragon because it has the E-Series strip, which was common for cards in the earlier EX sets, including Dragon and Ruby and Sapphire and Sandstorm. So, you know, typically when you buy cards like this off places like eBay, or in larger lots, you know, it can be difficult to manage the expectations of every card coming back perfect. Again, I'm just happy because these are the types of cards that I grew up either opening or wishing I could open up. And so I'm happy that even though it's a PSA 6, it's a dope card, it's beautiful, and honestly it looks great in the slab again, which is really my big concern. I know there are tons of CGC fans as well as tons of BGS fans, but there's nothing quite like the very good look of a PSA slab, in my humble opinion. This is a card that many of us on the channel are very familiar with, mainly because we already had a whole bunch of these come back to us in the major part of the submission. So here's yet another Ampharos EX out of Sandstorm. Beautiful card for a variety of reasons, and a really difficult card to grade, mainly because the Pokemon is such a small part of the far larger holographic pattern. What I've noticed is that swirls are very common on these cards, mainly because there's so much real estate here. And then again, E-Series strip. I can imagine that the major detractors on this card were probably going to be the surface. As you can see, the back is in really decent condition, so nothing crazy there. You can see really nice crisp edges, and you know, I see a little bit of whitening here, a little bit of whitening here, but I have a feeling that the main sort of issue with this card had to do something with the surface of the card, and that might not be something that comes through on camera. One random note for everyone as I continue along this EX Bonanza is, if you'll notice, these are numbered 4, 6, 8, 5, so on, so on. I just want everyone to know that these cards were submitted in April of 2020 and came back to me in like August of 2020. So these cards were not sort of at PSA this long or something didn't happen. I've had these cards for a very long time now. I just haven't filmed the video because we had obviously the 302 cards to get through, and that was kind of part of a continuous series. I wanted to sort of get all of that out in one continuous stream, and then on the back end I could show you what I kind of attached to the back end of that far larger submission. So you know, if you're thinking like, oh, my cert numbers are later than this, please don't worry about that. I've had these cards for a long time. It's just the first time I'm revealing grades on the channel. Here is a Chansey EX, again out of Ruby and Sapphire, so you got the E-Series strip. Beautiful card. You know, Chansey is one of those cards, it's always had a history. Again, another beautiful swirl. One thing I will say is that I wasn't swirl hunting when I bought many of these cards. I think I just got super lucky in that the ones that I won obviously had swirls, which is a really good thing. Alright, and moving on, we have another Gem Mint 6, or Excellent Mint 6, I guess. This one is a Groudon EX, and this one is out of Crystal Guardians. So, another beautiful card. Really not much to say other than how, you know, they really leaned a lot into the 3D modeling back then. And I think in retrospect, while it was corny in the moment, I do think in retrospect it really makes the artwork from these cards stand out amongst you know, contemporary ultra rares. The other thing I will say is, obviously, as a Hoenn legendary Pokemon, I sort of immediately love it, so that's really cool. And again, really some standout coloring, as well as just the overall sort of holographic pattern on this card. It's a really good looking card. In terms of damage, so up here you do have a little white nick, so that's something interesting, and then over here in this corner you also have a pretty significant amount of whitening just generally around the card. It looks like someone took the card and literally dragged it across the table. So I think that might be the main sort of detractor on this particular card, but all in all, really good looking card. Next up is a card that everyone should have seen on the channel in the past, and that is a Moltres Ex. So here is a card that is kind of weird. So this, we've pulled this card before on the channel, but this is not the one we pulled. The one that we pulled on the channel was when, oh geez, I hit 100 subscribers and I opened up one Fire Red Leaf Green booster pack that I bought off eBay for $60. I just want everyone to stop and understand each and every single part of that sentence. $60 on eBay, Fire Red and Leaf Green vintage pack. Nowadays, if you were to buy a heavy vintage booster pack like that, I'm pretty sure it would cost you nearly $300, if not more. What's funny is that when opening the pack, we pulled a secret rare EX, which could have been Wade. So ironically, that seller deserves nothing but kudos because he or she really held it down with the goods that they were providing. So a couple of different things. One, these cards are really interesting because they have the shatter pattern on them. So on top of being holographic, and you can see some of the holographic up here, they also have the shatter foil pattern throughout. These are also secret rares to the EX Fire Red Leaf Green set. So this card particularly is numbered 115 out of 112, so that's also pretty cool. These cards have also been in Japan, or rather this style of card with this shatter foil pattern, and I believe in order to accomplish that they actually have to kind of put some sort of waxy thing on the surface of the card. So a lot of people note that when you're holding these cards, you'll actually feel that kind of extra waxiness that you wouldn't feel with other cards. May I just say, this is about as true a 5 as it gets. So as you can see right over here, tons of burring and scuffing, and there's a whole bunch of whitening on the sides. There's just a gigantic chip over here. My Charizard PSA 5 first edition base set looks very similar to this. So you know, this is, I guess, a 5 in the truest sense of the words, but still a beautiful card. You know, I believe this card might have been free or close to free because of eBay bucks, so I just didn't care what I was buying at that point. I was just happy to pick up another EX card, right? Here is a Pop Series 1 Tyranitar. So the Pop Series is the Pokemon organized play. They were basically given out right around the EX era. And obviously Pop Series 5 is known for having the Gold Star, Umbreon, and Espeon, but the other Pop Series packs actually had a whole bunch of different Pokemon. So in Pop Series 1, you had a holographic Tyranitar, and this Tyranitar is really dope. The one thing I will say is that it has a really interesting design that I don't think we really get a lot of for Tyranitar. So I'm really happy about this particular card. I thought it was really dope to see like the furious kaiju-inspired Tyranitar look like Godzilla, which is exactly what it is supposed to look like. The back of the card, huge ding right up here. You can see that pretty clearly. There's another huge ding down here by my thumb and another huge ding over here in the corner. So all things considered, not necessarily in the best of shape, but it's a good looking card, period, end of story. Next up on the list, we have a Call of Legends Holo Suicune. So you know, not going over the same stuff again, the one thing I will say is I did set a goal for myself to start collecting this stuff, and I'm very excited because now that I finally did the PSA Graded Return, I do have a feeling I'll be able to kind of track how well I'm doing. Literally, I got the stuff, I put it in a box, and I legitimately just kept it there. I didn't want to touch it, I didn't want to look at it. I wanted to film the videos, and then after the videos, I'll put them in individual sleeves, and I will start, you know, aggregating like the parts of my collection, but I didn't even touch them before that. So here's the Suicune. This is the one that comes out of the set, graded a 7. The one thing I will say is the top of this card is pretty rough looking, and you got a nice bit of whitening down here in the bottom. So, you know, all things considered, a well-deserved grade. Again, really not going for PSA 10s. I know one person who is, and you know, while I wish him the best of luck, I have to say it's quite the expensive hobby, put it that way. Next up, we got a Flygon EX. This is a card, again, we've seen before from the larger set. It just so happens that some of the cards were similar like this and the Ampharos, and then there are other cards that are unique to this that weren't unique to that. You know, as a 7, you can expect a little bit of distinct whitening on the corners. This back isn't actually terrible, so I'm assuming, actually, yeah, there's a couple major scratches going up and down the bottom of this card. Again, like the surface of the card had to have like this happen to it in order for something like that to happen. But yeah, all things considered, really cool card. I like Flygon. Flygon's like the non-pseudo-legendary dragon of Hoenn that it could have potentially been. So I was also mad it didn't get a Mega Evolution, but, you know, that's just me. So here's an interesting one. Here is a Latios EX Near Mint 8 coming out of EX Dragon Frontiers. So a couple of things. One, if you look directly down Latios's nose, you'll notice a print line, and that print line actually comes up here and ends down here as well. So you can see right there where my thumb is that there's like a weird line, and that basically cuts through the entire card. That is effectively a print line when it comes to the EX era cards, and it's not, you know, always the best looking. This card wasn't going to do much better. One, you'll notice the centering isn't the best. Two, you'll notice a little divot right here and some whitening up here. So all things considered, this was really an ideal candidate for a PSA 8 because I believe the print line puts it automatically at an 8. But at least the good news is that, you know, it wasn't a Gem Mint 10 aside from the line. That would have been annoying. This card had a little bit of damage here and there, and obviously that was reflected in the price. But what was also good was that, hey, at least, you know, it was going to get an 8 and be an 8 in the truest sense of the word. Here is a card that I'm very excited about and has secretly grown on me as one of my new favorite EX era cards. Here's a Ho-Oh EX, and if you ask me, it looks very much like the Neo Ho-Oh that you know, that'll be shown on screen right over here somewhere. And I think, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the two cards are derived off each other, based off each other, or at least in some part related to one another. And as you can see, some really pretty holographic. Again, at this point, you guys get it. I don't need to sell you on how amazing these EX era cards are. This one got a PSA 9, a small little divot up here. I genuinely feel like this card would have gotten the 10 had it not had that little whitening on the corner. Super annoying, but whatever. So here is a card that I'm also very excited about. Here is a Blaziken EX from EX Team Magma versus Team Aqua. When you think about the starter Pokemon of the different generations, obviously for base set, I think of Charizard, Venusaur, and Blastoise, the Gen 1. Neo Genesis is for Gen 2, and honestly, weirdly enough, it's not EX Ruby and Sapphire, it's actually EX Team Magma versus Team Aqua that I think of when I think about the Gen 3 starters, because I believe these are the definitive EX ultra rare cards for those Pokemon. The thing is that for Gens 1 and 2, you had Unlimited and First Edition, but they were just holographics, right? Ruby and Sapphire had holographics for these cards, but I genuinely feel like this is the artwork that sticks out in my mind for the Gen 3 Pokemon. So I am currently in the process of at least trying to pick up each of these EX Team Aqua versus Team Magma Pokemon. One thing to note, it is a PSA 5, you know, there is a slight crease right here. You can see it pretty distinctly on the camera. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm, again, just happy I was able to get my hands on one before prices went stupid high. And finally, but not least, for today's video is a Raikou EX Deoxys Hollow. So, many of you will find this ironic. I bought this card for basically the cheaps. Nowadays, if you try to buy a card in similar condition, you are probably going to end up paying nearly $100. So, you know, this is a card that's in an interesting position because as a PSA 7, it's not really that impressive, and yet I think it would look great in the binder. So, you know, for anyone who's just checking out the video, I did go ahead and purchase a near complete EX Deoxys binder, and you can go check the video out. It'll be linked down below in the description. And I need this card. This is the secret rare that, you know, from the set, like the 108 over 107. I know everyone always yells at me about box topper versus secret rare, but, you know, 108, 107 equals secret rare in my head, at least. I do, of course, acknowledge and recognize the difference between the two. But this card might end up getting cracked. I don't know yet. I like it, and if I don't get my hands on a better copy, or if I don't, you know, get my hands on a binder copy, then this may end up becoming the binder copy. I may just crack it, stick it in my binder, and call it a night. But With that said, friends, thank you again for checking out another video. As always, I appreciate your viewership. You could have been anywhere on the internet, but you chose to spend some time with me, and that is much appreciated. If you liked today's video, don't forget to subscribe. We're on the journey to 1,000 subscribers, and I couldn't be more excited about the future of the channel. I appreciate you being along for the ride, and I, of course, appreciate your likes and comments on this video, as well as helping the channel continue to grow. Of course, if you're interested in the Call of Legends box, which is right over here on screen, do feel free to hit me up or get in touch. I will be more than happy to get your name down. And then, yeah, other than that, I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and we will talk soon. Peace.